Hey everyone, welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into something absolutely wild, the architectural blueprint of life. We all realize our bodies are incredibly complex, right? But the sheer scale of the microscopic engineering that's literally operating inside you every single second, it's just staggering. So today, we're tossing out the dry textbook definitions. Instead, we're going to explore this highly organized, brilliantly efficient microscopic universe that's actually the foundation for every living organism on Earth. Let's get right into it.
So you've probably heard the stat before, right? Your body contains trillions of cells. But to me, the true marvel isn't just that massive number, it's the synchronization. Think about it. Every single heartbeat, every breath you take, it all depends entirely on trillions of individual living units. And they're all communicating and working in perfect harmony, completely behind the scenes, without a single conscious command from you. It's like a perfectly choreographed biological symphony.
Okay, here's our roadmap for this explainer. First, we'll define the building blocks of life. Second, we'll cover the 3 golden rules of cells. Third, we're going to look at the 2 main types of cells. Fourth, we'll take a quick tour inside the cell itself. And finally, we'll wrap up with why all of this actually matters to you. All right, jumping right into Section 1, the building blocks of life, where we define our microscopic universe. Now, when we talk about cell biology, we're talking about way more than just peering through a microscope at static, boring shapes. It's actually a highly dynamic, action-packed field. We're studying their structural integrity, how they grow at lightning speed, and these incredibly complex chemical communication pathways they use to talk to each other. Understanding all these interconnected pieces, that is the absolute key to unlocking how organisms, like you and me, actually function at scale.
So what exactly is a cell? Well, it's the absolute smallest unit capable of carrying out all life processes. If you take a human, a plant, or an animal and break it down, the cell is the absolute final frontier. It's the point where all the characteristics of life still exist independently. You can think of it as the fundamental, self-sustaining floor plan of life.
And depending on the organism, these microscopic building blocks adopt some radically different survival strategies. On one hand, you have unicellular organisms, things like bacteria and yeast. These guys are the ultimate independent solo operators. They handle every single thing required for life all by themselves inside one single boundary. But then, on the other hand, you have multicellular organisms, humans, plants, animals. We represent this massive evolutionary leap into biological networking. It's where billions of cells literally sacrifice their independence to specialize, teaming up to create this massive cooperative whole.
Moving right along to Section 2, the 3 rules of cells, exploring the foundations of cell theory. Cell theory basically rests on 3 main pillars which were established by pioneer scientists like Schleiden, Schwann, and Virchow. Number 1, all living things are made of cells. Number 2, the cell is the basic functional unit of structure. But rule number 3, this is the one that's truly profound. All cells arise from pre-existing cells. Just let that sink in for a second. That means every single cell inside your body represents an unbroken lineage of cellular division stretching back billions of years, literally all the way to the dawn of life on Earth. How crazy is that?
Okay, let's pivot to Section 3, 2 main types of cells, and explore their different architectural styles. So looking at the big picture, there's this fundamental architectural divide in the biological world. First, you have prokaryotic cells. Think of these as the ancient minimalist designs. They're smaller, they're simpler, and they do not have a true nucleus. Then you have eukaryotic cells, which are basically the modern complex upgrade. They're much larger, and they feature a clearly defined nucleus along with membrane-bound organelles. And it's exactly this complex eukaryotic architecture that eventually allowed for the evolution of the complex plants and animals we see today.
If we really break this distinction down, it all comes back to compartmentalization. Prokaryotes intentionally skip having all those specialized organelles. Why? Because it keeps them lean, mean, and able to rapidly replicate. Eukaryotes, on the other hand, like the cells in plants and animals, invest a massive amount of energy into a highly complex internal infrastructure. They compartmentalize their DNA safely inside a nucleus and use these specialized mini-organs to manage a much larger cellular volume.
Which brings us directly to Section 4, inside the cell. Let's take a quick guided tour of this complex cellular anatomy.
So, building from the outside in, every cell shares a pretty universal layout. First, you have the cell membrane. You can think of this as a highly selective biological firewall. It's strictly controlling the molecular traffic moving in and out of the cell. Inside of that is the cytoplasm. Now, don't just think of it as empty fluid. It's an incredibly crowded, super dynamic, jelly-like environment where rapid chemical reactions are constantly firing off. And finally,
Deep in the interior, we have the nucleus. This is central command. It protects the DNA instruction manual that governs the entire biological system.
Now, going back to that cytoplasm for a second, it is absolutely packed with specialized microscopic machinery. We're talking about mitochondria churning out ATP for energy, ribosomes assembling complex proteins at blinding speeds, the Golgi apparatus packaging up materials, and, if you're a plant, chloroplasts harvesting sunlight. The precise engineering of these specific organelles is so fascinating and honestly a bit mind-blowing that we're going to dedicate entire future explainers just to dive into their exact mechanical functions, so definitely look out for those.
All right, let's step back and look at the big picture in our final section, Section 5, Why Cell Biology Matters, focusing on its real-world impact. Here's the thing, unlocking the secrets of the cell is the absolute prerequisite for the future of medicine. By understanding these microscopic mechanisms, researchers are actively combating genetic diseases and fighting cancer right at the very source of the malfunction. It's literally the foundation for modern drug development. And looking forward, it's paving the way for incredible things like tissue engineering and regenerative medicine. We're talking about the potential ability to biologically repair or even grow functional human organs in the future. It's a real game changer. Ultimately, when we study cell biology, we're really studying the fundamental mechanics of life itself. Today, we've seen how cell theory maps an unbroken lineage of life from the very beginning. We've seen how cells divide into prokaryotic and eukaryotic architectures based on their need for internal compartments. And we've learned how they all rely on this awe-inspiring, universal blueprint made of membranes, cytoplasm, and genetic code.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to consider this. Right at this very second, sitting there, you have trillions of cells inside of you. They are actively communicating, dividing, and tirelessly fighting to maintain your biological equilibrium. What microscopic miracles is your body performing right now, entirely without your conscious input? It's pretty amazing to think about. In our next explainer, we'll push even further and directly compare plant and animal cells in vivid detail. But until then, stay curious and keep marveling at the incredible science happening inside of you every single day.